Gillian Tett is an anthropologist by training, but she works for the Financial Times in London. She looks at businesses and organizations from an anthropologist's point of view, which is very different. And this is something she wrote about specializations and organizations in silos. You need to have dedicated teams and departments, but you also need to recognize that as soon as you create a box or a boundary that can potentially be dangerous unless you step back from time to time and actually think about the social structure that you've created by creating those boxes within the company. How do people live in these boxes? When you look at companies and the problems that we have with silos, it's this anthropological problem. One company that she has spent quite a bit of time with is Facebook. And she's helped them and they've helped her understand this anthropological view of organizations. And Facebook has done a lot to reduce the effect of silo mentality. And they've done it through some very interesting ways that Gillian has identified. The first one is what she calls mingle people around the company. That is, they have people physically on their campuses in places where they have to sort of bump into each other and they have to mingle. So the physical layout in terms of where people are, how they sit, where they eat, where they rest, all those kinds of things, even where they play, are all designed to make them mingle together rather than separate them. The second thing they do is they move people around in teams a lot. I mean, everyone does that to some degree. They do it a lot. So if you're in a team for 6 weeks and they need someone over here, you go over there and you'll come back. So there's a lot of movement of people, which breaks down those barriers and feelings of territory that we often have. They have some common processes, particularly their common onboarding process. Everyone in the company, wherever they are, whether they're in England, France, or San Bernardino, they go through the exact same onboarding process. And it's not just one day of orientation, it's an onboarding process. And one of the things that's emphasized is we don't look upon silo mentality favorably. So there's almost an inculcation, almost an indoctrination against silo thinking. Another thing they do is these all-night hackathons where they bring people together to work on problems literally all night long and then serve them breakfast in the morning. And the idea is to push people together under some level of stress almost, but it's also fun, to get people to realize that they can work across boundaries and across disciplines and across functions to get things done. And the hackathons come up actually with some really cool ideas and products. So what now what? So what about your company? Look at it from an anthropologist's viewpoint, and that is, where are the tribes in your organization sitting, and what barriers and boundaries have they set up to keep themselves separate? And how can you tear down those boundaries and barriers? The other one is to look at it from a sociologist's standpoint, and that is, what are the natural networks that people have currently in the business, and what would be the most productive networks of people connecting in order to come up with innovative ideas, make decisions, get work done? They're going to be two different things, because one tends to be a closed society, whereas the other one is much more of an open society. Try to figure out, from a sociologist standpoint, what is the connections of people and their networks, and how can you enhance that so that there's more cross-fertilization of ideas, and there's more cross-fertilization of teams, and more cross-fertilization of products and service. The last thing is just mingle the people together. Mix it up.